Hey there, welcome back to the Lit Up Life. Today we're talking about something that most people either dismiss or they chase it in all the wrong ways. And what I'm talking about today is magic. Not in the way we're taught to think about it, but something rare out there reserved for the lucky few, but really the kind of magic that actually creates results in your life and your business. The kind that shows up as the right opportunity at the right time, the conversation that changes everything, the moment where something just clicks. You know what I'm talking about. The feeling that things are finally working for you instead of against you. So, we're going to talk about what most people don't realize, which is that this kind of magic isn't random, it's created. And it's created through a very specific loop that we're going to talk about. But most high achieving women are incredible at one part of the loop and they deeply resonate to the other. So today we're going to talk about why you're missing the magic that's already in your life, how your brain is actually blocking what you say you want, what it really takes to live your big ass dream, and how to become the woman who can actually receive it and hold it. Because this isn't about hoping something magical happens. This is about becoming someone who creates it on demand. There's a moment in life when we sense an opening, where the life we've built begins inviting us into something more. Not because anything's wrong, but because we're ready for a deeper, truer expression of who we really are. This is the Lit Up Life podcast, conversations for those who are no longer interested in pushing, proving, or performing, and are ready to lead from truth, alignment, and inner authority. I'm Debbie Heiser, and here we talk about the inner shifts that change everything, how belief, identity, and energetic leadership shape the way you live, work, and choose. This isn't about becoming someone new, it's about coming home to who you already are. Hey there, welcome back to the Lit Up Life with Debbie Heiser. I am Debbie Heiser. I'm excited to have you here. And the Lit Up Life is all about where clarity becomes currency, alignment becomes your edge, and your purpose fuels your profit. And today, we're going to talk about something that if you really get this, it will change how you experience your life and your business forever. And we're talking about magic. Now, I just got back from a weekend with some incredible women down in Florida in Fort Myers called Meant for Magic. And when we're talking about magic, before you roll your eyes or think this is going to be fluffy, stay with me, because what I'm about to show you is not only real, it's predictable, and it's something you can start creating immediately. So, what is magic? When I say magic, I'm not talking about something mystical that only happens once in a while. I'm talking about those moments, where life just clicks, where the right person shows up in your world, the solution lands for you, the opportunity appears, or something inside of you just says, this is it. You've all had those moments. We all have. But see, here's the difference between people who experience those moments occasionally and people who live in them consistently. They know how to see them, and those people, myself included, know how to participate in them. Because magic isn't just something that happens to you, it's something you co-create. So why are we missing it? Most people are missing magic all day long. It's all around us. And it's everywhere you look. And part of why we're missing the magic is because we're not available for it. We're distracted in this world today, right? It used to be 3 seconds that you had to capture someone's attention on social media. Now it's 1, because we're so distracted. We also tend to focus on what's not working in our lives. We try to control outcomes that are happening, or we're really stuck in this idea of proving or pushing and forcing, being right. And when we're in that state, we're not open. We're closed off, and magic doesn't flow into closed systems. So I want us to really look at this loop. And this is the part I really want you to get as you're listening to this podcast. So stop what you're doing for a moment and listen in. Magic lives in a loop. It's not a closed loop, but it's a loop. So think 3-dimensional, almost like a spiral, right? And I love the spiral. It's all about leadership and serving others. So magic is in this loop, and it's about receiving and creating, receiving and creating, creating and then receiving. So it's just this loop that happens, and this is magic. And most high achieving men and women are incredible at creating. We produce, we get shit done, we execute, we build things. But where the struggle really lies is in receiving. And if you have a money problem, it's not a money problem, it's a receiving problem. So when we struggle receiving, we don't see the magic. So receiving is about support, it's about compliments, it's about money, it's about opportunities, it's about having ease in our life. Remember, because we're so used to pushing and pulling and all of these things. And here's the truth that most people don't really want to look at. If we don't know how to receive, we cap what we can create. If we cap what we can create, we don't continue to produce funds, right? In this 3D world, to pay for our bills, to pay for the things that we want. So creation without receiving leads to burnout, leads to resentment. It leads to limitations that we have. So how many of you have felt that way in the past or are currently feeling that way, for crying out loud? So if we allow ourselves to receive, then we expand, excuse me, our capacity. And when we expand our capacity, your results expand. When our results expand, we need to receive, then we create, then we receive. Do you see where this loop's going? Now, what also happens is we all have some big ass dreams, right? And it requires a different version of ourselves. So we have the loop of creating and receiving, which is magic. We have a dream that allows us to create. And if we don't receive, it just shoots off in different ways, right? So let's talk about your vision. I want you to think about it. What is your big ass dream? It's the thing that excites you. Now, it can also feel a little scary, and there are stories that are tied to this, right? Because you're changing your identity. Because it doesn't just require action. And so many times, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have a sticker over here that says get shit done. So many times we're in this action mode that we don't step back and let our identity expand to meet it. Because the version of us that has the expanded identity, we receive things differently, we think differently, we move differently, and we trust differently. And this honestly is where people get stuck, where they don't see the magic happening in the everyday, because we try to do more instead of being more, instead of becoming someone new. So how does this fit in? Well, you all know I geek out on brain science, right? So our brain is not designed for expansion, right? Because it's designed to predict and protect. So when we start moving towards something bigger and the law of sacrifice, right? Our brain immediately, even the word sacrifice is triggering for people. Our brain says, this isn't safe. What if it doesn't work? What if I fail? What will people think of me? And it starts replaying those past experiences. It starts replaying the mean girls in middle school. It starts replaying when we didn't get picked for the kickball team. It starts replaying all of these old stories that we have and creates worst case scenarios because our brain is just doing its job, right? There's nothing wrong with you. The problem is we're letting our brain lead us, right? We're letting it say, predict and protect, stay safe, stay safe, stay safe. And then we never experience the magic. So some of this also is identifying your level of risk, right? What is my identity as far as risk? I will tell you, I've become much less risk adverse, but much more open to risk as I've experienced the magic and know how to create magic in my life. Now, keeping in mind too, that the risk is created by our brain based on, you got it, the old stories, the worst case scenarios, those past experiences that we have. So what does that really cost us? Let's be real. Living a lit up life, it does cost something, right? It costs some comfortability. It costs a little bit of predictability, and it costs our old identity, because our identity, if you recall from some past podcasts, is really about an experience that's happened to us, a thought that's come into our subconscious that we put emotion around and create a belief around, and that's part of our identity. So sometimes it not only costs our identity and some of that predictability, which again, the brain is going, blah, I can't predict this, and some of our comfortability, it also sometimes can cost relationships. Now, it doesn't mean that the relationships leave us, but if it's built around the old version of you, it's about then like working with that person, helping them to accept the new version of you. But we run that risk a little bit sometimes. I've had people in my life that don't necessarily haven't caught up to the new version of me, right? It doesn't mean that they won't, but we need to understand that our next level will disrupt our current reality. But that doesn't make it wrong. It means it's working. You know, an interesting thing, I was spending a little time with one of my sisters that not my actual sister, but my mastermind sister, that we went to Paris together. And we were talking about this idea of our next level and our current reality and how our nervous system has to catch up to that. And that it doesn't mean that we lose those relationships. It just means it is important to feel the feels in this, but it's about then becoming who we need to becoming, who we need to become, and allowing our nervous system to catch up. So it's also about having tools. Some people would call them hacks. I call them tools, but and becoming who we need to become. So what do you need to do? Who do you need to be? Right? So who do you need to become to receive what you say you want? Because that man or woman who lives your next level receives without deflecting. How many of you turn down a free coffee? How many of you try to grab the door and don't let other people open the door for you? That's deflecting the ability to receive. So I'm going to invite you, the next time someone wants to buy you coffee or offers to buy you lunch, trust that they want to do that. It's a gift that they're giving you, and receive it. Notice if you feel uncomfortable about it. Right? Another thing to kind of look at, the woman who lives this next level, or this man, also takes aligned action without it feeling forced. You also learn to trust yourself deeply. And, you know, I get it. Like, people like to put polls out to kind of say, hey, what do they want? I know in my Build Her group, I have put polls out to find out like best times for people, different things like that. But you have to trust yourself deeply. When I see people go out and say, which picture looks the best for my website? That's kind of a twofold there. Usually it's because they don't trust themselves. And when you don't trust yourself, you want other people to make the decisions for you, so then you don't have to hold yourself accountable. It's the whole creation and receiving, creation and receiving. So another thing that happens when you're living your next level is that you stay when it's uncomfortable. I've gotten to the point now where I know when I'm up leveling and I call my counselor and say, can I come talk to you? Because I know I'm going to have squirrel brain. I reach out to those people that I feel lift me up and build me up. I create some support around myself when I'm up leveling. And honestly, that's a lot of the time, right? So it's not about waiting for certainty. It's also about co-creating the support that you need to up level where you're heading. So again, who do you need to become to receive what you say you want? It's that desire that you have. Now, there's all sorts of stories that's wrapped around desire. That's another podcast. But what I want you to think about is, don't wait for certainty. I see a lot of people hiding behind, I need the next certificate. I need to educate myself. I need to build the next landing page. I need to do the next program and create it. Don't wait for the certainty. It passes you by. Create it, move forward, get the momentum going. So here's some practical integration. Let's make this really real. And here's a few ways that you can start stepping into this. Practice receiving daily. I talked about that with somebody buying you coffee or opening the door for you. If someone compliments you, don't deflect it. Don't say, oh, I got this on sale at Target, right? Say thank you and let it land. Like, own it. Be okay with it, right? Then I also want you to create something small every day. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be polished. Just create. Creation signals readiness. So as an example, I'm going to put it out here. I am writing a couple of books. One of them is a fiction book about my story, and you're going to see more and more on social media and hear more about my personal story. The other one is the work that I do, the things you've been listening to on the podcast, the work I do in the masterminds that I have, the work I do with my private clients. the work I do with women in my October retreat, all of those things, right? And as I'm creating that, I'm realizing it's about those small, everyday incremental steps, right? The posts that I do, I can go back. I've been writing every day. So it's not always the sitting down with the journal and writing the book. It's writing something, doing it where it's not polished, it's not perfect, creating the momentum. So create something small every day. So again, as a reminder, practice receiving daily, create something small every day. And then I'm going to come back. Well, oh, I'm sorry. Let me tell you the third one. Challenge one fear story that you have. So pick one thing that your brain is telling you and test it. Not in a big way, but in a small, safe way, and build evidence. So a lot of times, like I've mentioned this before, where there's chaos and confusion, there's a lie. There's an untruth somewhere in your brain. So ask yourself, is this true? If I do X, Y, and Z, is really A, B, and C going to happen to me? 99.9% of the time, it's not. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about how this works and how to create your holy shit moment. Okay. I want to pause for a moment because if you're listening to this, you know we were not meant to do this work alone. Build Her is the community I created for women who are building meaningful lives and businesses and want to grow without burnout, self-abandonment, or shrinking to fit. Inside Build Her, we gather monthly for real conversation, intentional teaching, and grounded connection with women who get it. This isn't about hustle, and it's not about fixing yourself. It's about being supported as you lead with clarity, confidence, and intention. So if you feel the pull towards a steady, honest, and expansive community, you're welcome here. Find the link in the show notes or join us at thelituplife.com/buildher. Okay, we're back. As a reminder, practice receiving daily from someone, whether it's a compliment, coffee, whatever. Create something small every day and celebrate that. And then challenge one fear story you have. Ask yourself the question, what am I afraid of? And what's the potential untruth here? And what is the truth? Now, I want to talk about how this works also in magic, as far as like, we all have these, what I call holy shit moments, right? Because we've all experienced magic. I experience magic every day when I drive across the bridge and see a bald eagle or see swans on the lake or just the beautiful mountains, right? There's magic everywhere. Find it, look for it. You'll see it if you look for it. So we've all experienced magic. And so these are also moments too that happen like in our business or in our life where something aligns perfectly. You just know, you have a deep knowing about it. Something worked out unexpectedly or something changed everything. Now, sometimes these are big life moments. Sometimes they're big life moments in the fact that they're holy shit moments, but it's like a change in perspective. So these aren't accidents. They're signals from God. They are signals from the universe. And if you look at them closely, you're going to see a pattern. What happens when this occurs is you were open. You were open to receive. You took a step forward. You allowed something in, and that's the loop. That's the magic. So I want to have you sit with a few questions and take a little bit of time. So if you have to, if you're walking or you're in the car, stop this here now and then restart it back up when you get somewhere where you can actually write something down. Now, feel free to keep listening, but then go back to this and really kind of sit in it for a little bit. Where are you not allowing yourself to receive? And change that to the I. Where am I not allowing myself to receive? Is something coming your way and you're not open to it? Now, we have all been trained. Oh no, I got this, right? I'm a maverick. I can do this on my own kind of thing. So notice too some patterns of where you don't allow yourself to receive. Could be from a family member, could be from a spouse or a partner, could be from a business partner, a client, whatever it is. Then ask yourself too, what am I so focused on that I'm missing what's already here? So many times I see people focused on, oh, if I only did this, if I only did that, versus noticing where it's appearing in your life already. If you want joy, don't think it's going to happen somewhere out there. Where are you experiencing joy today? That's the magic. Then the next question I want you to think about is, what version of me is required for my next level? Who do I need to become? Because here's the deal, the who you need to become is already in you, or you wouldn't have noticed it, and you are already that person. You just have to accept that. You have to be able to receive that version of you. Because then once you receive that version of you, you're allowed to create from that version of you. Does that make sense? Do you see the magic in that? Then I want you to ask yourself too, in the action portion of it, what is one small step I can take today to be that woman, to think the way that woman thinks, to make a decision from where that place is that I want to be, and celebrate it, right? One of my coaches, Heather Keith, is in the process of doing some work where she's looking at the winnable moments. Right? So look at every winnable moment. If you want to clean out your closet, it's not pulling everything out of your closet that gets the win. The win is opening the door, and the next win is turning on the light, right? So do that small step to create that momentum that then creates the magic. So here's what I want you to take with you today. Magic is not something you wait for. It's something you become available for. The magic finds you when you're vibrating at that level. And when you're open to receive and you choose to create, you're stepping into who you're becoming, or who that person is that's already there that you really want. Then you stop chasing results. People are attracted to you, and you start living in those results. You start living in that up-leveled version of who you are. That's what the lit up life is all about. So here's the deal, folks. If this episode resonated with you, or if you know you're ready to expand your capacity to receive and actually stabilize that next level, that's the big piece. I see where people create something and then they go numb out to Netflix. They put on the brake, right? I heard a speaker this weekend about the red Ferrari and how we go on the gas and then we stop and go and stop. And what happens is that we have to be able to expand our capacity to receive and stabilize this next level. It doesn't have to be a long time. It doesn't have to be 6 months. It can be literally an hour or 3 minutes. But what I want you to do is I invite you to take the next step, because that's really the work that turns me on, is helping people move into that next step, move into that version of who they want to be. So at the Lit Up Life, we don't just talk about transformation, we create it. And I'm so thankful that you're here today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for being loyal subscribers, or if this is the first time you've subscribed, share this episode with somebody that you feel like needs it. And may you experience all the magic in the world that's out there for you to receive. Okay, everybody have a great couple weeks, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Thank you for being here and for choosing to spend your time in this conversation. If this work resonates with you, subscribe to the podcast and stay with us as we continue to explore what it means to lead, grow, and live with intention. Let's build your version of the lit up life. I'll see you in the next episode.